Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Number One Comics Podcast. This is the only podcast dedicated to the review and discussion of first issues. I'm your host, Jonah. With me, as always, is Bill.
Hi.
Bill, thank you for joining me.
Of course.
Dude, I love that Come and Go hat, by the way. That's a collector's item.
It is.
I had a chance to buy, it was at like Goodwill. They had like a Come and Go polo,
Oh, yeah.
and I should have picked it up.
Yeah.
Like just a regular work shirt, but now that it's no longer a thing, man, that hat high.
I don't know. I will say Maverick is growing on me, though. They do have some good...
Maverick is growing on me, too. They have a thing right now that is a raffle where you put your name into a raffle for a chance to like buy a bottle of whiskey, like high-end whiskey that they don't sell otherwise.
Yeah.
I won last week.
Did you really?
Yeah, so they called me up, I got a text message yesterday, and they're like, yeah, you won last week's raffle. If you want it, this is what it is.
Very cool.
So I'm like, cool. Yeah, I'm like, heck yeah, I'll go pick it up. And then I put in for the next raffle. So yeah, it's like it's a barrel strength Woodford rye.
Ooh.
So I'm quite excited about that.
There you go.
We've got a holiday party coming up. I'm going to be taking it to that and sipping on some rye whiskey. And hopefully I win the next raffle because that one looked good too.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about that. Today we are talking about Sabretooth from 1993. This was published by Marvel Comics. Cover date of August of 93. Cover price $2.95. This is essentially kicking off a series of episodes where we're going to be talking about villains. Yeah. Books based on villains. What is your take on that? What are your thoughts on a villain headlining or being the title of a comic?
I love it.
Do you like that? I know
some of my favorite characters in comics are villains. Yeah.
Do you think that there's enough with the villain to tell a really good story? And is it a miniseries or is it ongoing? What are your thoughts?
Oh, that's difficult because when I'm thinking of villains like Taskmaster, I
love that miniseries,
which we've done an episode on. I could read 90 issues of Taskmaster and never be satisfied. When I'm thinking of somebody like Sabretooth, maybe not, but I've been surprised before.
Yeah.
Speaking of villains, the thing that surprised me, I never thought I would like I know it's a TV series, but the Penguin miniseries on HBO Max. Never thought I would like it because I don't like the Penguin as a character, but I like that. So you never know.
Yeah,
you could be surprised.
I agree. I think that there's a lot that you can do with villains. I think that it's a fine line to walk between telling a good story with a villain and turning that villain into an anti-hero.
Yes.
And I don't necessarily want to see the latter.
That was one of the main gripes I have about Venom.
Right. He was a villain, and then by the time you've got the Lethal Protector launching, well, actually kind of like before Lethal Protector, which was that first miniseries with him, you had kind of him and Spider-Man teaming up to fight Carnage. Yeah. And that's really where they started to shift him from villain to anti-hero, and then more so in Lethal Protector, he's like, I would kill Spider-Man, but now I'm just going to kill bad guys. But
I'd also help an old lady cross the street.
Right, correct. And other characters that have done that too, like Deadpool. Deadpool was a villain when he was first introduced to us in New Mutants, and his first few appearances in X-Force, he was a villain. And then just over the years, he became
a living meme, basically.
What's that?
He became a living meme, basically.
He did. He was an anti-hero. He became a cartoon character, for lack of a better term. Yeah. And it's the point now where it's like, I can't stand that character. Yeah. I used to like Deadpool, and now it's like
oversaturated now.
I'm just tired of him. But anyway, we're not talking about Deadpool today. We are talking about Sabretooth. This was published by Marvel Comics. Cover date, like I said, August of 93. Cover price, $2.95. I'd mentioned that. This was a pricey comic for 13-year-old Jonah to go out and pick up. Buying this meant that I was probably not able to pick up another comic that was released around the same time. So I passed on something else to get this because I only had so much in my allowance money that I was allowed to spend at the comic shop each week. Right. Now, the writer of this, Larry, God of G.I. Joe himself, Hama, and the artist is Mark Teixeira. I think he goes by, a lot of people just call him Tex for short. Some people say his last name is Texiera. I've always said Teixeira. I work with a guy whose last name is Teixeira, and that's just how I've always said it. I could be wrong. As always, I like to throw that caveat out there. I'm always probably wrong when it comes to pronouncing something.
That's all right.
Now, Sabretooth, like I said, it's kicking off our month-long look at supervillain comics. We've talked a little bit about villains getting their own series. Even in some cases, like ongoing series, as we mentioned, I think that's much tougher to do. I think a mini-series or a one-shot is much easier. Sabretooth himself was created by Chris Claremont and John Byrne. He first appeared in Iron Fist 14 back in 1977. So while we largely know him today as Wolverine's, arch nemesis, he began as an antagonist for the Iron Fist and Power Man, which I think is interesting. It was about 10 years after his first appearance that he clashed with Wolverine and the X-Men in the Mutant Massacre crossover event. It was hate at first sight between those two, essentially, and has been going at it ever since. Now, when I first got into comics, it was the Marvel trading cards. We've talked about this numerous times.
Yeah.
That really started... it really started my love of Sabretooth, because I just thought he always looked very cool. And I remember in those trading cards where it stated that Wolverine was, Sabretooth was Wolverine's father. And I thought that was a very interesting dynamic. Now, that has since been done away with by subsequent writers. But as a kid, and even today as a grown man-child, I liked that aspect of it. I thought that was very cool.
Yeah.
And Sabretooth has always, because of that, remained one of my favorite Marvel villains. I've always dug this character. Let's sink our claws into this issue, but real quick, are you a fan of this character at all?
Not as much, and mostly because, well, one, I'd never really read Sabretooth in the comics too much. Usually when I did, it was in an issue of X-Men, and I was like, great, this is going to be another Wolverine issue. Yeah. So I didn't really care too much. Now, on the flip side of that, when they did a Wolverine episode of the animated series and Sabretooth was involved, Cold Comfort, I think, is...
The one where
the one where he's in Alaska,
escapes, or I'm trying to think. So when Sabretooth first appeared in the X-Men series, if I'm not mistaken, he was captured.
Yeah, he was basically on trial.
Yeah, there was I think it was when Beast was on trial.
Beast was on trial.
Sabretooth breaks him out, or kind of breaks into the courtroom, gets shot up or whatever. Beast decides that he's.
Wolverine wanted to leave him for dead. Cyclops is like, no, we take care of our
they
own
take him
kind.
back to the X-Mansion or whatever.
Yeah,
I remember when he first appeared in that episode, I was like, man, Sabretooth went out like a chump.
Yeah.
but then that just a couple of episodes later is when he basically manipulates Jubilee into freeing him.
Right.
Kind of takes her almost hostage, threatens to hurt her. Escapes, goes after Wolverine in the Arctic.
Yes.
I may be misremembering some of that.
We can get into all that on its own episode, but I guess that was the only, other than trading cards, probably my only introduction to Sabretooth.
Yeah. Okay. This was probably my introduction to, aside from the trading cards, this was probably my introduction to Sabretooth.
Okay.
Because I read this before that series even came out. Let's get into this issue, and let's start with the cover. This cover, I think, is phenomenal. I love this. We've got a
very eye-catching cover.
Red and black peekaboo cover. We've got his name as the title in jagged, hard-edged font. There are 2 O's that are cut out with the character peeking through at us. Along the left-hand side, it reads, Sabretooth, Death Hunt, ambushed by his past, ... on a quest for his life. Behind the cover is a stunning painted work of art by Teixeira. It's Sabretooth. He's coming right at us. This is his second costume, I believe, and this is still my favorite look for Sabretooth, is what we see on this cover. I absolutely love that to this day. Yeah. Now, as for the issue itself, let's get into it. In Vancouver, British Columbia, Sabretooth and a man called Cyborg, that's PSI-BORG, they are riding in the back of a limousine. It pulls up outside of a large estate. Cyborg telepathically registers that there's multiple hostiles throughout thought waves kind of around them. And he warns Sabretooth that he's got company waiting for him here at Sabretooth's home. Though Cyborg offers to stick around, Sabretooth is like, get lost. As soon as the limo drives away, Sabretooth is ambushed by a few dozen red ninjas from the Hand. Sabretooth swipes at them and he sends the attackers flying. Hitting the gate buzzer, Sabretooth calls an associate of his or a partner of his. Her name is Birdie. More Hand ninjas approach, trying to get him before he can even get into his house. Because he's trying to get into his house, they're blocking him off or cutting him off. Sabretooth continues to rip into the attackers, but they keep coming. Suddenly, there is a massive blast that sends bodies flying in all directions. Birdie, Sabretooth's partner, has arrived with a gun that's larger than she is to provide Sabretooth some cover fire. Birdie asks Sabretooth where he's been and that job offers have been piling up on the facts. Sabretooth assures her that as long as there is greed, envy, fear, and loathing, there will always be work for assassins. Later, Sabretooth, or Creed as his real name, he's in the tub and he's smoking a cigar. Birdie's behind him and she's giving him a back rub. Birdie tries telling Sabretooth that he's too tense and he needs to relax. Sabretooth tosses Birdie into the tub saying, "You don't tell me what to do, you just get in here and do your job." It's really funny. Really interesting thing to say. Soaking wet, Birdie threatens that he shouldn't do that to someone that he lets traipse through his brain. Sabretooth pops the cork on a bottle of champagne and chugs it. He challenges Birdie to do her thing, stating Cyborg had unscrambled some of his memories, unlocking some real horrors. Birdie blasts him telepathically, and we see a montage of horrific memories. One key memory is that of a small child. His hands are restrained, and he's muzzled. Now, what this is essentially is Sabretooth uses Birdie. She's got this ability, and he even gives it a name. She's got this ability to sort of use this psychic energy to subdue him, sort of, and sort of quell his murderous impulses. Is kind of my takeaway from their relationship. Mm-hmm. Like I said, one of those memories is that of a small child. The hands are restrained. He's muzzled. Now, as if stepping out of Creed's mind and into the physical world, Birdie sees this child, and she says, or asks, "Who are you?" "They calls me Creed," the boy practically hisses, and he asks if Birdie would be his friend. Birdie says that she'd be his friend. She asks who's restrained him. The boy refers to them simply as they. And he says that if he's bad again, they'd lock him in the cellar for good. Birdie asks what he'd done that was so bad. "Come closer and I'll tell you," he says. As Birdie gets closer, the boy breaks free of his restraints. He reaches for Birdie's throat. Now, realizing that Birdie doesn't want to hurt him, he goes from trying to choke her to trying to hug her. The boy, as quickly as he appeared, vanishes from Birdie's arms as Sabretooth approaches her from behind. Sabretooth comments that was almost sweet enough to melt his heart, but almost doesn't count, and he punches her off her feet. He is a straight bastard.
Yep.
Leaving her lying on the floor, Sabretooth heads upstairs. Now, a little bit later that night, Birdie, she sneaks downstairs and she disarms the home's security system. The gates open and a squad of Colonial Marines is what they look like to me. I don't know exactly what they are, but they look like Colonial Marines. They enter the home and they are armed with massive guns. The intruders move up the stairs towards the bedroom, though Birdie believes Sabretooth is sleeping. He's been woken up, sensing or hearing people in the house. The bedroom door is shut and is armored, so the intruders call for a missile launcher. Birdie had left the door open, so she knows that something is wrong if that armored door is closed. The door to the bedroom is blown wide open. Dressed and ready to brawl, Sabretooth leaps at the intruders. Birdie sneaks away as Sabretooth yells out to her. Sabretooth activates a series of anti-personnel mines, blowing away several of the unwelcomed guests. He sets a few more security traps around the house. The intruders hit him with gas. Then they zap him with tasers. They toss basically a steel net over him, and they hit him with more tasers, and then they stick him with hypodermic needles. Essentially captured, Sabretooth is hauled into the back of a vehicle. His last words are a threat to Birdie. "I'm going to fix you," he says. We cut to a flashback of young Creed. He's chained to a wall. He's on a cold cellar floor. His parents, or at least what I believe are his parents, they enter, and his father states that he's going to fix the boy. He's going to yank out the boy's teeth and claws and beat the evil out of him. Sabretooth wakes up from this flashback. He's nearly naked, and he's strapped to an X-shaped table. He's been out of it for a week. A control device has been implanted next to his aorta, among other enhancements that he's been provided. The one responsible for all of this is a transformer-looking mofo called the Tribune. The Tribune did all of this to Sabretooth so that Sabretooth can carry out a special assassination. The Tribune reveals the control device is 6 ounces of hyperthermic 3, which is an explosive. The Tribune shows a demo of this by bringing in a captured hand ninja and blowing him to bits. As the flames from the blown-up ninja die out, Sabretooth asks who the Tribune wants dead. The Tribune reveals the target is Mystique. Sabretooth is given 2 days. He replies for Tribune to start the clock and to know that after Sabretooth has aced the Broad, he's coming after him. And with that, we are to be continued. Bill, thoughts?
I guess the good thing I can say about it is that the artwork is pretty unique. I do like the artwork.
Yeah, Teixeira's artwork has always been pretty interesting.
Yeah. Story's kind of like just all over the place. Yeah. Like it was a little bit hard to follow for me, but not to say that, your mileage will vary on that.
No, I agree with you, especially if you're coming to this without having read a lot of Sabretooth appearing in other comics. And also the way that sort of with the kind of the psychic manifestation of the child, it was very strangely done. Yeah. In my opinion, I agree with you. I don't know that I could come up with a better way to do that.
Right.
I do agree with you about Tex's artwork. It is, especially if you consider, like, at this time, like, a lot of the stock 90s artwork that we've looked at with, when we talked about Cage or Darkhawk or Sleepwalker. I mean, there was a kind of a house style at the time. Yeah. And this was very much, I think it was actually transitioning away from that into more stuff like this in those kind of, 93, 94, that sort of range. Yeah. So the artwork is definitely something that stands out. In terms of being an early 90s Marvel comic. Now, like I said, Sabretooth's long been one of my favorite Marvel villains. We talked about Deadpool and Venom, who were other favorites of mine, kind of becoming de-villainized to a certain extent. And what I like about this is there's no attempt to do that. Yeah. Like I said, he is a right bastard.
They're not trying to make him look good from a certain light. Right. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, he is a villain through and through. Yeah. And that's one thing I like about this is that Hama's not doing anything to be like, oh, he's sympathetic. Right. like sympathize with him. Right. He had a bad childhood. No, this he's a piece of shit. Yeah. Regardless. So, and I think it can be tough focusing on a villain without diminishing that villainy. Like I said, it's a fine line to walk. Yeah. and I think that Hama did a pretty good job with that here in this first issue.
I would say
anyway. Now, I didn't, in typical Hama style, the story is very fast-paced. It wastes no time getting to the action. Hama loves his ninjas. G.I. Joe is so full of ninjas, it's really annoying, actually, because I like ninjas as much as the next kid. I used to love watching ninja movies.
Yeah.
But it was like ninja overload for me at this point in my life back in the 90s there.
Yeah.
I think the dialogue's pretty well written. I like the exchanges between Sabretooth and Birdie in particular. Like I said, Texas art's fantastic. It's stylized. I did note the villain behind the capture, this Tribune. I said it as I was going to go through. He reminds me of like a Transformer. He actually looked like Titanium Man, which I think was like an Iron Man villain.
Yeah,
is really what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of first issue fashion, we're given a little insight into Sabretooth's history, which I think is good. We're introduced to a new threat or objective. Not so much a new love interest. I don't see any type of love interest they're developing with Birdie. I think more so their love interest develops with Mystique.
Yeah.
Versus Birdie. Now, speaking of Birdie, because this was my first time seeing her when I picked this up as a kid, and like I said, he essentially had hired her to use her psychic blast. He calls it the glow. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. He calls it the glow. I almost wanted to say the shining, but that's something, the shine or whatever. That's different.
Right.
He uses the glow, and again, it kind of keeps his bloodlust in check. So he almost needs her to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. The issue as a whole, I think just okay. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't. I liked it about as much now as I did as a kid.
Right. I will say the thing that always kind of bugs me about villains, and I might have liked it better when I was, into Saturday morning cartoons, but the thing that bugs me about villains is when you make a villain like the evil side of the coin of one character. Mm-hmm. Like, the only example I can think of that working well was Venom before they turned him into a giant sissy. But Sabretooth to me has always kind of seemed like
one note,
bigger, hairier version of Wolverine with no claws.
Yeah.
At least in the comics anyway. Yeah. Like I haven't really, you got to understand too, I've never really seen a whole lot of comics with Sabretooth in them, but the ones I have, I'm like, really?
He is to a certain extent one note that way.
Uh-huh.
Like, he's a very simple villain, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that's why I think he works well as a villain.
He's not some megalomaniacal, mustache twirling. Yeah,
there's not a lot of motivation to him other than killing people.
That thing needs to die.
Tormenting Wolverine.
Yeah.
Making some money. He's very simple that way. But I actually think that's what I like about him in this case. Because I think, again, once you start to dilute that, is where he becomes an anti-hero.
Yeah.
And he's no longer a villain.
Right. Like and this is way down the line. This is like after Fatal Attractions and Wolverine gets his adamantium ripped out. Spoiler if you've never read that series.
No.
But he actually joins the X-Men for a time, and I hated that. I was like, I do not see Sabretooth as an X-Man.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
I do remember there was a time where he did, and I think it's, I don't know if it's,
I don't think it was a very long run as a hero, but...
Right, and I hadn't read, I mean, I was not really reading X-Men at that point. I couldn't tell you exactly what the motivations were.
Yeah.
Or even how long it lasted.
Right.
So
I don't think it lasted
I definitely like
long.
him better as just a hardcore villain.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah.
So, in terms of like what came next for Sabretooth, I mean, he had a lot of appearances between 93 and say now. This particular miniseries ran for 4 issues. Aside from appearances in numerous other books, there was a one-shot in 1998 called Back to Nature. I actually just picked that up in a bargain bin recently. There was another limited series that ran in late 2004, I think it was, to early 2005. That was a 4-issue run. I remember skipping that at the time because it was written by Daniel Way. And as I've mentioned before, I don't typically enjoy his work. That said, I do want to sort of go back and check it out. If I can find those in the bargain bins, I would probably pick them up.
And I encourage anybody watching this or listening to this or whatever, leave a comment of like, is me not being a fan of Sabretooth, leave a comment of something I should check out that would make me a fan of Sabretooth.
Like a notable Sabretooth comic.
Like, preferably not something from like 1960 whatever, because I don't have that kind of money.
His first appearance.
Right. Check out his first appearance in Iron Fist.
Now, there was a 5-issue series that ran in 2022. That's another one that I'll probably check out. I didn't pick that one up when it came out. Now, most recently, there was a 5-issue miniseries called The Dead Don't Talk. And that one was pretty good. And that's sort of Wolverine recounting an old a story about Sabretooth. So it takes place like back in like the 50s or something like that.
Okay.
And that one I thought was pretty good. So aside from these series that I'd mentioned, you know, like he's appeared a lot over the years. Anytime, it's funny because anytime I've gotten into a Wolverine series like midway through, it's usually because of like a Sabretooth story or a Sabretooth appearance.
Okay.
This includes the terrible Evolution story by Jeff Loeb that I picked up, where Sabretooth gets his head lopped off by the Muramasa blade or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
Grow back from.
Yeah.
So Sabretooth was essentially like killed off. Now it turns out, spoiler, that was just a clone and not the real Sabretooth. Of
course it was.
Because comics, right?
Yeah.
Also, the Sabretooth War was a 10-part storyline in the previous volume of Wolverine. So it ran like issues 41 through 50. And I didn't buy any of that in Wolverine volume. I skipped all of it except for those last few issues or that last story arc. And that ends up with Sabretooth again getting cut to pieces by Wolverine. And he's really considered dead for now at this point, at least until that's considered a clone or time travel or whatever.
Yeah.
But that was a pretty wild story. It's hard to get into. Basically, it's like Sabretooth brings all these other like Sabretooths from like other dimensions, and like it's like Wolverine's birthday, and so like Sabretooth like kills off Wolverine's family member, like Doc and Wolverine's son gets like killed by them, and then he like writes a like happy birthday in blood. I mean, it's a wild story.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's worth reading, I think. If you're not a Sabretooth fan, read that one because it is wild.
Okay, I'll have to check that one out.
And I'm sure Sabretooth will return again because of comics.
Right.
So let's wrap it up. Let's rate this particular issue. I think I know where you're going to land on this. Would you buy the next, at least read it, skip it, or would you rather have been an exploding hand ninja?
I'm not quite exploding hand ninja. There were parts of it I liked, but I would probably skip it.
And I'm probably a read it on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, like, I don't know that I would be like, hey, go buy it, but if you have a chance, read the next one.
Now, if I like, after getting into the X-Men animated series, because that's what got me into the X-Men comics, right? Or vice versa. I can't remember which. I kind of started with the Jim Lee run of X-Men comics. But if I probably was like big into my X-Men era and saw this laying around, I would probably pick it up. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. But then again, I also picked up the Rogue miniseries, and that was a waste of fucking time. Maybe we'll read that one of these days. It's not worth it. Yeah. But yeah, I'd probably just skip it.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, I'm an at least read it. I don't think I could say buy it. And really, the reason I'm an at least read it is mostly because of the artwork.
Yeah.
Like I love the artwork in this.
Yeah. So. Like if the artwork looks gnarly, I'm probably at least going to pick it up and thumb through it.
Right.
And see what it looks like on the inside.
Yep. That's where I'm at. Excellent. Well, like I said, this episode does kick off a few weeks of dedicated to looking at issues focused on villains. So we will be talking about Deathstroke, who, you know, he's gone back and been like anti-hero villain.
Yeah.
Dr. Doom and Eclipso, which is a weird one, but I'm interested to check that one out.
Yeah.
So that's what you guys have to look forward to. As we get into the rest of 2026, we're going to be looking at some event comics. I want to do some issues that focus on like dystopian alternate futures. I think that would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
And not every month is going to be a theme, but we'll tackle some themes in there throughout.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
That's it for this episode. Thanks for checking us out. Be sure to like and subscribe. Leave comments, as Bill had mentioned. You can find us wherever you find your podcast. Just look up Field of Geeks. We are part of the Field of Geeks network. Special thanks to everyone at Field of Geeks for helping to make this podcast happen. Yeah. Special thanks to Raven X for the intro theme song as well. For Bill, I'm Jonah. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.